Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today I want to talk about Jasmy because obviously we've seen some really impressive moves coming out of Jasmy. So I want to talk a little bit more about kind of what that means, what we could be seeing next, how, where are we looking at right now, all that type of stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right in. So starting out, what we can see looking at crypto bubbles is overall things looking pretty decent on the day. Jasmy up 18%, obviously, really good to see, especially after some of the weak or lagging performances that we've seen kind of compared to some of the others over the past several weeks. Again, we've talked about this, it was okay. You just had to be patient. And as we could see, the biggest thing I was waiting on was some indication that we are moving towards Altseason, right? And if we look at the Altseason index, we can see that we are officially in Altseason. And obviously this changed very, very quickly. I think this changed probably quicker than most people expected, almost like a vertical straight from Bitcoin season up to altcoin season. But given what we've seen in crypto bubbles, obviously I think this makes sense, right? I mean, Bitcoin down 1.2% today, but we're seeing, Jasmy 18, Quant 22, HBAR 34, IOTA 49, Ondo 30, VeChain 32. So, I mean, just Polygon 14. I mean, I could go on and on, right? I mean, there's just tons everywhere. A whole lot of the alts up super, super big. Sui, another one that's been doing very, very well, up 15%. So, things looking really good. Obviously, Jasmy actually leading the market, or one of the ones leading the market. I guess I shouldn't say leading, but overall looking really good. And if we look at the chart here, we can see something very similar. I've zoomed out to kind of show what we've seen in the past, but what we can see is we were looking at kind of that 3.2 cent range being a little bit of a difficult resistance to break. We actually could see that it looked like we may have started to get rejected, and then we saw this really, really nice candle actually moving all the way through. If we look a little bit further back and move this little button here, we can see, a little bit of wicks up into this 4.1 cent, 4 cent range. We can see we actually did wick up past that. We have come back down though. We're now sitting at kind of the 3.6, 3.7 cent range. But what we can see, obviously, this resistance very, very much attainable and within reach. And then after that, we are looking at previous highs up at the 4.5 cent range. And so I do think if we break out of this 4.5 cent range area, things are going to be looking good, really good for us overall. Pretty happy with what we've been seeing overall. We can see though on the RSI, we have actually moved into overbought at this point in time. I don't know that that's much of a surprise to anybody sitting over here at 80. With a candle like this, I think you'd kind of expect to see something like that. And so what we are looking to see though is kind of how RSI reacts as we continue to see kind of the chart unfold. Obviously, since we have broken through this resistance, very much looking to turn this into a support. Hopefully we can turn this into a pretty strong level of support and then use it to kind of jump off to take out these next two kind of resistance points. As we can see, just kind of looking at back here in June, we could see, a decent bit of liquidity just zone overall from this 4 to 4.5 cent range. After we go there, I mean, we are looking at 6, 8, 10, 12 cents maybe. I did make a video a couple weeks back, kind of talking about what my price predictions would be or were for the end of the year. I do think this is kind of moving like what we were hoping or expecting to see. I think the 6 to 8 cent range still very, very much in play for the end of 2024. Obviously, that would be just shy of 2x to just over 2x, depending on kind of where we see on that range. But overall, I mean, things looking really good for Jasmy so far. Definitely pleased with what we've been seeing, the level of performance. We have seen, volume coming up a little bit, but not anywhere close to what we were seeing kind of back here in the June area. So I do think this does go to show, volume can come back, it can come back quick, and with that, we should see price kind of doing something similar. So if we see volume come back to kind of what previous levels were, and we see price moving this strongly even without that, I think when we get that volume coming back, things could be looking really, really nice overall. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for is, kind of how do we handle this resistance, kind of just this liquidity zone in general. How do we handle this in terms of turning into support? How do we handle RSI with kind of how the chart moves generally? And then also, what do we see with volume? Does volume start to come back? Does it continue to taper off? All that type of stuff. What do we see kind of coming through there? So those are kind of the main things I'm going to be looking for. If you are interested in trading Jasmy or anything else for that matter, feel free to use my Margex link in the description below. You can do up to 100x leverage if that's something that you're interested in. Also, they've got no KYC or VPN needed. And they do up to $10,000 in deposit bonuses if that is something that you are interested in. So like I said, feel free to check that in the link in my description below if that is something that you are wanting to use. Now, moving on though, with Jasmy, we can see things looking obviously very, very good on the chart. We can also see on Twitter everybody calling the cup and handle, right? I mean, we've been seeing this. I think this is a chart looking back about a year and a half range overall. I mean, things looking, cup and handle again, cup and handle again. So, everybody's looking for this cup and handle. Obviously, as we can see on the chart, it is shaping up to look pretty decent here. So, that's what we're going to be seeing, is if we can see, kind of, can we break out of this first kind of 4-cent range? We're going to be seeing the minor resistance here at 6. And then, a lot of people are calling for 32. I think Steph up here was calling it like 62 cents. So, we got to see kind of what we're looking at, or what we get, I guess I should say, based on what we're seeing on the chart. Currently, obviously, first things first, we do have to break this 4.5-cent range. So we'll kind of see, and we'll track that over the next couple of days, see what we can get from there. Obviously, I think we're wanting to see us break that, 8, well, probably the 6-cent range, I think is very doable by the end of the year, just based on what we're seeing on the chart. Obviously, if things start to come back and volume comes back. So obviously, as we saw with XRP, things could change on a dime. So, maybe that happens, before the end of the year for Jasmy, maybe not. I mean, we're starting to see volume creep back into the chart. So obviously good things looking there. But overall, it depends. A lot of it depends. If we see something like XRP that's just kind of purely speculation filled, I mean, that can happen at any point in time. But if Hara or the Jasmy team or JANCTION, or whoever within the Jasmy ecosystem maybe releases some sort of bullish information or news or anything like that, some sort of press release, anything like that, I mean, that's where we could start to see some really interesting moves, coming within the cycle. Obviously, having some like bullish information, bullish news, stuff like that coming from the Jasmy team does always help in a bull market. Right now, though, I mean, I think there's enough kind of just greed and speculation and all this type of craziness happening within kind of the overall crypto market. It's not necessarily needed, but obviously, that does help. So I'm very much interested to see kind of what the Jasmy team does, how they kind of handle the next several weeks or months, depending on kind of how this bull market unfolds, and see kind of what things they can make happen. Obviously, overall, one of the things that at least encourages me about the Jasmy team and kind of what they're doing right now. I know I critique the Jasmy team sometimes, for their lack of communication and updates and all of that type of stuff. I do think that you can actually view this as a pretty bullish thing overall, just because this proves that they don't care about the bull run, right? They are concentrated, and they are more concerned with building long-term value for their project. They don't care if that is conveniently placed within this bull run. They don't care if it's in the middle of the next bear run. They don't care about if it's 3 bull runs from now. They are focused about generating value and creating a project that is essentially built to stand the test of time, regardless of what cycle we're in. And so that, to me, I do think is very reassuring. It gives me a lot of confidence within the team overall. Like I said, sometimes I do complain about it a little bit and use it as a critiquing point, but I think you can kind of zoom out from a long-term perspective and realize that this is actually fundamentally like a good thing, even though it might be frustrating in the moment. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and subscribe, because it really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to drop those in the comment section below, because I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything you want me to see, that would be a great way to do that. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.